Welcome back to another episode. I think this is our 10-minute roundup this week, and we're focused on a topic everyone keeps talking about, which is salaries. Yeah. So I think this is a big topic. Are you being underpaid? Are you finding that, you're potentially going for jobs where you're not being paid as much? So before I dive into it, just want to make sure you remember to hit follow. We're kind of growing obviously our database at the moment and our followers, and always let us know what kind of topics you want to cover. But we know at the moment the biggest one is salaries as people are going for new roles. So let's kind of dive into it. And Jack, I know you're probably going to be more to cover on this topic, being in the recruitment world. So tell me more about what you're thinking with salaries at the moment. Are they changing? Are they increasing? Are they decreasing?
So salaries are super interesting at the moment. So we
Mm,
put a poll out yesterday, a 24-hour poll to our social media. So over
yep.
100,000 followers, and 80% of people said they were underpaid, and 20%
Yeah.
of people said they were paid correctly. So that's super, super interesting. But I'm getting that vibe from speaking to lots of different people at the moment. From the people that you're speaking to as well, Ellie, you getting that sort of thing?
Uh, yes, from the consulting side and like speaking on advisory, I would say just boards and companies we're working with, they're probably not increasing the salaries at the moment. So going focused on really what the market's paying and looking across the industry. So if you look at jobs now, you can already see that the average salary is going down. Because there's a lot of competition, which has kind of been like that for a while, but it seems like, people are testing out the market, I guess. And what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think a lot of people at CMO director level, um, last year they skimmed across the surface. I keep talking about this skimming across the surface in terms of senior talent. So they've got rid of a lot of people at that level, and they're putting on
Yeah.
the responsibilities onto their second in command. And what we're finding is that a lot of people who are at CMO level and marketing director level are seeing roles out there, and particularly in 2025, where the salaries are probably 5-10% lower, because these
Yeah.
companies are just seeing, okay, tough market conditions, tough economic conditions. We've tested and trialed that we can actually get people who can actually do this CMO work at the second kind of level below the CMO level. And let's just
Yeah.
throw the job out there and just see what we can actually get. And sometimes it's a bit of like a fishing exercise, like fishing in terms of what they can actually find. And a lot of the time they can actually find good people at five,
Yep.
10% lower,
Less.
because people have been out of work for many, many months. But at the same time, if it's in a hard to fill location or it's a bit of a tricky role, sometimes they've got to go back and revert back to original budgets. So
So before we talk numbers, because I'm gonna give everyone the chance to know what the ranges are, of course, give the answers away. Um, what are you finding, I guess, aside from the numbers, like are you finding that people are like taking a big drop and like you should encourage them, to just go for the role and, let's say CMO at the moment is like back in the day it was probably 150 plus, right? 150 to 250. And now you probably are seeing that you might get some CMO roles. I saw a marketing director for 50K and I'm like, what?
yeah, it's crazy.
Anyway, I saw that recently and I'm like, oh, come on. Like, this is a senior role. Anyway, so do you think, like, what's the point when it's just like it's gone too far?
It depends. It depends on the business, but I think a lot of people that I'm speaking to, people have still got to pay the bills and get the money coming in to keep the lights on. So some people are actually trying to figure out ways what to do. So if they're going forward to a marketing director role and it's only paying 120 when they've previously been on 150, that's definitely
Yeah.
think that that's something they'll definitely consider, because the market said there's not enough demand out there. There's not enough CMO marketing director roles, so they're going to have to lower their expectations.
I
But the
mean, that is
tide is
crazy because it's such a stressful job. Like for
it's
people
stressful.
listening, it's such
Yeah,
I mean, everyone has got a stressful job, I get that. But this is a senior role where you're kind of expected to do a CMO job, unless you're reporting to a CMO. If you're reporting to a CEO and then you go marketing director, and then they say like, oh, we're just going to cut the thing, but you're going to look after 25 people plus this, plus like you might have to do your job in like 6 months and make sure you hit all your KPIs.
it's like so stressful for CMOs, just like navigating everything. So being in a job, getting made redundant. So a lot of the cases, there are some people who are made redundant, but also in role who are not enjoying their role and want to get out of there. But it's just
Yeah.
so stressful having to manage, you say, like 20, 25 people, managing the whole navigation about trying to reduce costs or budgets because the upcoming NI increases. And then
Yeah.
if the company's not performing,
The company's
sometimes they're
not
getting a
performing, which is a lot.
it's hard. And sometimes they get a bit of a heads up months beforehand, but there's loads of people that I'm speaking to who are being made redundant and not even seeing it coming. So they have to jump onto the job market and either got these bills to pay. Some of the time they can actually find contract work with big day rates, as we've seen, or they're just going to have to try
You
and
still
drop
see
their fees,
contract work
drop their
though. I know
salaries.
people talk about contract work, but like I don't see that many contract ones come up all the time.
It's like the hidden job market. It's like the
Yeah,
hidden
it's what
job
I
market.
mean. It's hidden job market. So everyone listening, just to let you know if you think there's all these contract roles coming out, I feel like it's a bit of a hidden job market.
It's a bit like the internet,
Okay.
like the dark web, which is literally the hidden job
Oh,
market, and then the normal web, so which is basically LinkedIn. So, like the dark web of recruitment is literally
I hate
networking.
that.
So it's literally all
Yeah.
these jobs which can't be seen. It's all these
Networking.
jobs which can be created
So
based
there's a
on
lot
your.
of them out there.
There's
It's
loads
just
of them out there.
networking.
There's loads of them out there, and there's lots of people creating jobs for themselves just by networking, doing introductions, and
Yeah.
I know we're talking about
That's
salaries
the ones I do.
dropping. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about salaries dropping for CMOs, but every single role that we've placed since the beginning of 2024, every candidate, bar one, and we placed hundreds of people, have all had an increase. So it's difficult. It's difficult, I would say, the market.
What do
It's
you
saying a
mean have
couple of
all had an
things.
increase?
So
Clarify that.
everyone that we've secured a new role, whether they've been in work or outside of work, everyone's had an increase from their previous salary.
Really?
So I
But
think
I
there's a
thought we were
lot of
talking about
mixed
the fact
messages
that,
out there as well.
yeah, because wait, you're saying that everyone, but I thought we were just chatting about the fact that people might be going backwards.
I, no, that's true.
Wait,
That's true.
is
They're the
that
people
scares
are at.
me?
That scares me too. So I'm just thinking, actually,
Okay, wait.
am I making sense? But
No,
I would
you are,
say
but is it okay to go backwards? Because we've been increasing, like, yes, salaries have been increasing year on year on year, but we've gotten to a point where, like, it was pretty ridiculous in the last 2 years, some of the salaries that were out there, like COVID, post-COVID. And now, are we okay to go slightly backwards? Because is it okay to take that role?
it depends how long you've been out of work for. So
I
some
want you to
people
say
that
yes.
I know the average someone's been out of work for, I would say, 3 months before they get a role. But there are people out there who've been out for work for 6 months, 12 months, and you
Yeah,
get to that
12
point, and
months.
you're going to
Yeah.
decide, yeah, I'm just going to take a cut to get back in the game.
This is scary chats. Anyway.
So shall we go to the sal?
Okay, let's go to salary stuff because
Let's go
I'm
to the
like, oh my
salary
God, now.
survey.
Okay, should we start from, yeah, your salary survey? Should we start from junior? Well, not junior, like where do you want to start in terms of roles?
Yeah, let's start at junior. So I was saying just
Yeah.
before the podcast, probably one of the most difficult roles that we are resourcing or trying to get clients at the moment is probably the more junior level. So
Yeah.
digital executives at a year to 2 years plus. But I would say in terms of our salary survey, let's have a look here where it says. So on digital, yeah, so digital marketing assistants. So what we're finding at the lower end, from interviewing and getting people to answer this questionnaire, hundreds of people. The bottom end for a digital marketing assistant is 33K, and at the top end is 33K, sorry, and the bottom end is 30K with a median of 32K. So I would say, yeah, that's in terms of
First
someone we
job?
want.
First job, but they
Second
need to,
job,
yeah, second
yeah, I
job.
would say second job. So second job if you've been
What
somewhere
would you
for
say
about
that
a
was
year.
previous years ago, right? Like, what would you say? That was years ago.
27. Yeah, even
27.
4 or 5 years ago,
So you're
COVID
paying a bit
times.
more anyway, but you're expecting
Yeah,
them to have 1 to 2 years. So, but sometimes people don't.
exactly. So I would say it's super, super challenging. There is a bit of a gap at digital marketing assistant level right across London at the
Yeah,
moment to try and
because
find
there's not
people with the.
always assistant roles.
There aren't all the way, yeah, there aren't always assistant roles, but there are a hell of a lot of roles at middle management at the moment, and that's where it's most fluid at the moment. So anyone who's good, who's coming onto the market, is pretty much securing a role straight away.
Yeah.
So yeah, marketing manager, digital marketing manager, we're finding the bottom end to be 65. Oh no, sorry, the bottom end to be 40, and the
Yeah.
top end to be 78. That's such a big range. That is,
It's such a big range, isn't it? And that's
yeah,
what I've always had, even with teams that I've looked after and stuff like that. Of course, that one's more around, yes, talent. Like you're willing to pay for someone because they're also going to pick up so much work, like naturally.
it just indicates, with the size of businesses, there are SMEs out there who are going to pay a digital marketing 40K.
40 something.
Um,
Yeah.
and then there might be a big company who'd be paying a digital marketing manager 78K. But each
Yeah.
company, they have salary bandings the larger you get, and they probably call somebody who's got 10 years experience a digital marketing manager and paying them 78K. So
Yeah.
job
So I mean,
titles don't
like,
really reflect everything.
exactly. And are you willing to pay? I mean, this is, you probably say yes, but are you willing to pay someone more, right, when they've got like they cover all digital? So they might be good at paid search, social, like, all the channels, CRM. You've got like an all-rounded unicorn. So you're probably willing to pay a bit more versus someone that might be like, I don't know, specific in CRM and maybe they've only done a few years. So also that 60 to 70 is like you're getting more experience, right?
Yeah, potentially. But I mean, we've seen, especially last year, where more roles are more siloed. So like CRM, PPC, and what we're beginning to find at the beginning of this year is there's more broad roles where
There's more broad
clients don't
roles.
have they have some clients have lower budgets, don't have a lot to
Crazy,
play in
isn't
terms
it?
of
They're just
salaries, so
cutting
just want a lot more
individuals.
boxes ticked.
I know, but then you don't set up for success. But anyway, okay, sure.
So it's
Um,
definitely spreading themselves too thin. And then head of digital, I mean, the range here is massive. So bottom end 65K, the top end, so the person with the
this
highest
has
salary at
gone
head of
up.
digital level 140. So that's definitely
This
gone
is what
up.
I think is crazy because, yeah, I remember when I was hired, controversial, but I was around like 70, 80, I think, at the very years ago for a head of digital. And then now I see them, yeah, head of digital can be the same as a CMO salary. I'm like,
It's
obviously not
crazy.
the same
Yeah,
company, but that is crazy that head of digital, it's like when there's been so much turbulence around the CMO thing. So they're like, oh, we don't know if we value it as much, but of course it's critical. But head of digital, we need them in the business 100% because, you've removed some of those director level stuff. It's crazy.
yeah, the market is fascinating. So like CMOs, the bottom is 137K, and then the top end is 230K. Marketing director, bottom end 60K, like you said, is crazy, and the top end 216.
What is that about?
It's just
That's
crazy.
awful.
It just goes to
I
show
mean,
that some companies don't allocate the right
the
job
right
title
team.
to the right
Yeah,
salary.
I think so. Yeah, there's still that confusion, isn't it? Which is why I've had chats on consulting stuff, and they're all like, we want to test it out. We want to see how we go with this like person in the team. It's a marketing director and yada yada. And I'm like, wow, there's a real test in this. It's kind of a testing culture. It's like we could test in campaigns, but we're not testing the people's jobs. But it is what it is. Like that's just what's happening. Is it's a different market. Okay,
So I think
cool.
a lot of people will be tuning into this to probably see where they're pitched against, and I think we can
Yeah,
definitely share the information from the salary survey. But a lot of
yeah,
people will be listening to this. I mean, 80% said they're not liking the salary that they're currently on, so they're listening into this to see how they can get that increase, or just see if they're pitched at the right salary compared to their peers. But
yeah.
based on what you just said, in terms of you've had those promotions, especially from senior digital manager to head of digital to director, what do
Mm.
people need to think about when they're negotiating salaries within digital marketing? What do they need to come to their boss and show if they're not paying attention already?
I mean, you're the recruiter, but I mean, it comes down to your KPIs at the end of the day. Like, if you become invaluable to that company, where you are instrumental to like delivering whatever their KPIs are, if it's lead gen, etc., for its acquisitions, it comes down to your KPIs. Like I remember that with my teams, my partner talks about with his teams. Like if you're not delivering your KPIs, it's a different story. If you are, and then you don't, you're stuck in that, you feel like you're stuck in the role, and you feel like you're underpaid, you've got to have a look in the market, what's out there, have a look, have conversations. What I think is a bigger realization is yes, you might feel underpaid, right? But you do need to look at the rest of the market at the moment, which is really struggling. It's really difficult to get a job. Um, you might be an excellent candidate, that's fine, but it's difficult to get a job and the salaries have changed. So if you are having a different conversation with your boss, they're like just saying flat out no. But if they're having a conversation with you, they're going through KPIs and the board says no. I think that's the tough part is the boards are saying no. And when it comes down to the board level and VC level, and they're like, well, we know across X, our portfolio companies, that we are not spending this for our other brands, they're not going to be able to allow it. So that is a real challenge is, are you getting the most value out of a company? If not, maybe start looking around. And it also gives you perspective because I think when you start looking, you realize, wow, like there's actually a lot of people out there. There's a lot of market. The salaries have reduced. Maybe I'm in a good position. Okay, if I want to stay at this company, I like it, then maybe I need to think about like where else I can get, like I can, broaden my experience and like get the most out of it, right? Because I think that's why you're at a company is to one, of course, like you get paid, but to add to your career. So you might go to another job which is more challenging, but even less pay. But like that's what people are finding is that you might go to that. So anyway, I just say like, yeah, it comes down to KPIs, but like the market is struggling. I think a lot of people, like you said, are unhappy with the pay, but it's more of a realistic chat that it's changed. We got lucky, I think, for the last few years, which sounds really bad. I just think boards have cracked down, unfortunately. And it's a shame because I think they'll be coming back around with people leaving companies and starting their own companies and like saving all their money from their current job and then starting a new company and then maybe leaving. And so maybe we'll see in the next year a churn, like a change in that approach to senior marketing people. But unfortunately, at the moment, that's kind of where it is. You just got to be valuing where you're at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
this
that's
week,
my thoughts, but I could be wrong.
no, I think everything that you mentioned is literally bang on the money. So the market is a very challenging landscape, and people who, a large proportion of the marketing digital people who work in that sector live in London, and the price of living is extortionate in London.
Yeah.
So people are wanting more money so that they can go out and just do the little things, but also live a life. So if and there's a lot of it, these companies saying no to salary increases because the board's saying no because of, say, current NI increases or
Yeah.
the current trading periods, then you can start having a look and seeing what's out there. I spoke to somebody this week and she said she's currently on 50K. I think she's roughly around about 30 years of age. And she was saying to me that one of her colleagues and one of her friends who left uni with her was doing basically the exact same job as her, similar age, but on 80K. And they made two more moves than her. So one of the things that you mentioned, Ellie, was maybe it is a case of just looking elsewhere
Looking
because
elsewhere.
to get those big salary increases, sometimes, and this is what a lot of people say online, and it's well documented, you get those big salary increases the more you move, as opposed to staying loyal for with one company. But,
Yes. I
some of
always
these
think
big
about that
companies
one.
give you big increases, like the M&S's of this world, Unilevers, where they have these big grad schemes and then have these really targeted career paths. So if you get in with one of them, that can be really good for your career. But again, don't
Agreed.
underestimate the dark side of the search. So, because if you hit LinkedIn and you see a job, it's got over 100 applications in 24 hours. So if you want to be
Literally.
contacted by things where they're really great opportunities with startups, which won't have the budget to advertise, or for instance, replacing somebody who's underperforming in a role, they will be through headhunters and people within your network. So the dark side of the search is definitely stuff off
It's
LinkedIn.
like it's in front of you. You're like, cool, I love this role. I want it. It's like a piece of cake or whatever. Cheesecake. That was so lame.
A
But
piece of digital cheesecake.
a digital cheesecake, and it's right in front of you, but like applying for it is actually it's like eating it. You can't actually eat your cake and have it too. So you've got to do the hard work. You got to go to the gym. It sounds so lame, but it just seems
At the
like
same
I think
time,
that's just a
eating a
hard
piece of
part.
cheesecake.
Eat a piece of cheesecake. So hopefully that was helpful, that chat with other people. I think, yeah, just giving perspective on the market. It's tough. It's, yeah, giving yourself a lot of time. It seems like on the positive note, Jack, you've got a lot of work happening and like there's a lot of jobs out there. So you guys are really busy, but you were saying like, everyone's taking a bit more time to get it right. And so there's process and it's not as quick and rushed that people are expecting as last year towards the end of the year, right? So
Exactly. And I
stay
said,
positive.
yeah, stay positive, guys. And if you want to see the salary survey, just outlining where you're at and how it compares against what you're currently on, definitely reach out to me or Ellie, message us both, and we
Yeah.
can share that document with you. But yeah, no, thanks for logging back in, guys, and joining us for another podcast. And again,
And
please
one last
follow us
thing.
if you're on Spotify,
Yeah.
on Apple, or
Follow.
YouTube.
And also sign up to if you want to get all the stuff via email as well. So like you'll be able to see salary guides and we'll be hosting an event in future. Definitely go to digitalcheesecake.com and sign up to our email newsletter. And hopefully we will not be spamming you. So hopefully we'll be seeing you soon. Thanks, guys. Speak
Thanks.
soon.
See you later.